All right, here we go, Mr. John Brewer. We are live, sir. This is Chat with Gunner, episode 152. So it's been several of these, and we've struck up a relationship via LinkedIn and just wanted to get you onto the show and talk about your logistics experience. So, John, thanks so much for coming on to the show, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Gunner. It's our relationship has definitely grown over LinkedIn, so I'm excited to see you face to face and have a combo with you for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so cool to be able to have conversations like this with people that, you otherwise wouldn't have a chance to meet or other things like that. And, I'm really glad and grateful to have these guys on the show, especially you. And, you're the director of logistics and distribution for CKE Holdings, which is Carl's Jr. and Hardees. I have a question, and
Okay.
this maybe is answered over the internet, maybe not. I didn't want to go look for the answer, but how come Carl's Jr. is Carl's Jr. in some places and Hardee's in other places? Is that
Well,
common knowledge?
Carl's Jr. was started out on the West Coast, out of Anaheim, and Hardee's was actually started on the East Coast at Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And over time, the owner for Carl's Jr. actually bought the Hardee's brand, so that kind of kept them separate. They tend to cater to different demographics. You talk about the West Coast, you talk about flavors, you talk about putting avocado on hamburgers, stuff like that, teriyaki chicken sandwiches. And in the Southeast and the Midwest, it's more, you know, big breakfast, meat and potatoes kind of stuff. So they did try early on to try to blend the brands together. And it just, from a sales perspective, from a demographic perspective, it just didn't work. So right now, the menus are about 80% the same with some nuances on either side. So
Okay.
it's interesting.
No, it is, and I had no clue. So my fiance, she's from American Samoa, and she was telling me. I told her you were coming on the show and what you did, and she goes, "Oh, we had Carl's Jr. in American Samoa, and it made a lot of money because I guess the fast food down there is more expensive than just normal places like it is in the States." So it was
Right.
interesting to know that they even have one down there.
Yeah.
But you've been in logistics for a while. Started out at ACH. What was ACH?
ACH was a retail food company with edible oils and spices. My career actually started a few more years before that, but obviously for LinkedIn purposes, I keep it short and sweet. So
I got you.
I did their logistics and distribution for about half the country, and then I had a counterpart out of Ankeny, Iowa, that handled the other half of the country. So
Okay. And then jumped over to CKE, and you've been there now for what, 10 years? Is that what it is?
no, it's a little over 5. It'll be 6 in March.
Okay, 6 in March. So you like it? You enjoying it?
It's fast paced. It's a lot going on. This is a very passionate industry. The franchisees and the company operators are very passionate about taking care of their customers. So you have to keep that kind of in mind when you're working with them,
Hmm.
trying to help them to be able to satisfy their customers' needs. So you have to be
So,
sensitive to that.
and I guess in your role, and correct me if I'm wrong, but since Hardee's or Carl's Jr. is franchise locations, are you having to deal with each individual store owner, or is there like a big network you deal with when it comes to helping
It
distribute the product?
we have a well, you've got a couple of questions here. We have a field ops team that is the direct interface with the franchisees. However, we have some large franchisees who I've built relationships with over the years, helped them out, did this, did that. So if they're in need of something, it's not unusual for them to call me directly.
Okay. And it could be something they just need more of a certain type of product, or they need to fill an order for next month. I guess I don't really know much about the restaurant business logistics
Okay.
process, so you could inform me on anything.
Let me give you a 10,000 foot view.
Okay.
Okay. Obviously, each brand has we have a distribution partner. Okay. McLean Food Service handles the Hardees, and a company called Distribution Market Advantage handles the Carls. The DCs are responsible for all final mile. It's typically 12 to 15 pedal stops, hand trucked off the trailer, tri zone reefers, extensive inside delivery. The frozen goes in the freezer, the chill goes in the cooler, the dry goes in the dry storage. And Carl's is typically done at night, just because the as big as California is and busy. So they do dark store deliveries and for Carl's mostly, and then of course Hardee's is more attended deliveries during the day.
Okay. So yeah, that's a finely tuned machine right there. And
Some days it is. Some days it is. Some days
yeah,
that's enough.
I can see there's definitely can be some issues though pop up if you don't stay on top of it. And with you, the 10,000 view, like, are you at the top of this chain? Is there people above you? Like, I'm assuming maybe like some VPs or presidents or something, but like, are you pretty much the steering the ship?
I'm pretty much the guy moving the boat. I do report to the senior vice president of supply chain, but he has distribution, he has purchasing, he has quality assurance, and I think that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
he's got several different departments, but I handle his distribution for him. I've got a couple of guys that work for me. They handle the day to day operations and kind of keep the wagon in the road, if you will.
Yeah, because I mean, if something goes wrong or messes up, that's a lot of food that people need, right? That's a lot of
Right.
mouths being fed, families being fed through those places. Which brings me to another question. So, growing up in the South, Hardees is what I know for the most part.
Right.
And if you think breakfast in the South, you think Hardees. Like Hardees is the breakfast spot.
That's
How
right.
do we not have Hardee's breakfast 24/7 around here, like some of these other restaurants? We got to get I need the gravy and biscuit all day. I need that happening.
They have actually extended their hours, I believe, till noon on Saturdays and Sundays in certain
Okay,
markets.
I didn't
Certain
know
markets.
that. Oh,
But they
very
they
interesting.
they're in the process of testing that. I don't think it'll ever go 24/7, but I
Yeah,
think it will. I think it will get extended out. Because I'm like you, I like the breakfast. I mean, I can eat breakfast for lunch, dinner, and of course breakfast.
oh yeah,
But yeah, I could eat that all day.
yeah. Gravy and biscuits I could literally do all day. Probably don't need to do all day, but I definitely could do all day. Um, and you're out of Franklin, right? Are you in the Nashville area?
Yes, we're in Franklin. This is corporate headquarters. They brought it. They blended the Hardee's main office was in St. Louis, and then the Carl's was obviously in Anaheim, and they brought them all under one roof and brought them out here to Franklin, Tennessee.
Really cool. Really cool. So, man, you've been in logistics for a long time. I've been in it since 2014, trying to get a presence going on LinkedIn and getting a chance to meet people like you and as many people in logistics as possible. What keeps you in it? What keeps you in logistics? Why do you stay in the game?
I'm a glutton for punishment. No, seriously, it's funny. I don't think anybody really chooses this industry. I think this industry chooses people. I kind of fell into it. Actually, was I was an architecture major in college, and at the time, architecture students and draftsmen weren't making hardly any money. The minimum wage was a lot lower than even it is now, and I needed some money. I was starting a family, and I needed to get a bump in pay. So I went to work for an asset carrier in Memphis, Tennessee, as a short haul dispatcher. That's where I first got my taste of it,
Cool.
and it was like jumping out of an airplane every morning. It was, everything was on fire when you walked in, and if you were lucky and you really worked your ass off, by the end of the day, all the fires were out or smoldering, and then you walk back in the next day and everything's on fire again.
Yep.
So I stayed there about a year. Probably gave the wildest exit interview I think I ever had because I basically told them they needed to bottle that shit and sell it because
There you go.
it's adrenaline. I mean, it's just you just get pumped. It's a lot of puzzles. It's a lot of solving. It's a lot of working with other people. I enjoy it. I'm extremely passionate about it. Uh, I'm more into the strategic piece of it now. I've done the tactical for a long time. I could probably do it with one arm tied behind my back, but the strategic piece and I was thinking about this the other day. I'm kind of glad you brought it up because basically what you're doing is you're helping people. Now I'm not obviously the military or first responders. Those guys and gals are brave beyond belief, but I'm still helping people, and I like to help people. So whether it's getting you a burger when you go to the restaurant, or making sure your truck shows up so you're not spending labor dollars, whatever it is, I'm always helping somebody do something. I'm trying to fix whatever the breaking point is, and get them the service and the product they need.
And that's pretty much what everything comes down to is helping another person do something. That's what we do in any type of service industry, and that's all we do in logistics. And when we get the opportunity to work with shippers similar like yourself, we get the opportunity to help deliver some of these products, and that's where it comes on us. And that because you've been in the asset game. So when you're getting a chance to help people that actually work with you, training them, teaching them things that you've learned through the industry, giving them advice and guidance and stuff like that, do you have a group of guys that you get to pour into pretty much on a daily basis that might be the future of CKE?
I've got a couple of guys here that I mentor that report to me, and then I've also expanded. When COVID hit, I got more aggressive in LinkedIn at the suggestion of a friend of mine. I usually just kept it for like a digital resume, but I've gotten out there more. I've ran across a lot of young people that are just starting out in the business, and really somebody just handed them a book and told them to dial numbers, and that's not the way to do it. So I've been able to mentor several different people. Some of the guys my age, some of them younger, and actually I was working with a broker over in Knoxville, and we set up a couple of mock sales calls where their young sales reps we'd do a Zoom call. I'd be the customer, and they would pitch me. And I would give them feedback on what I thought worked, what I thought didn't. And that way, so they got some kind of real life experience without losing a customer. It's kind of like walking the tightrope with a safety net. So plus it was really, really fun because I could throw them curveballs and, see what they did. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But we've done that a couple of times. Just anything, like I said, you take helping people in logistics and you expand it to other areas of your life.
Yeah, but very true. And did you have mentors when you came up in logistics or was there people outside of logistics that you kind of went to for guidance?
I was lucky enough to have two. One of them taught me transportation. That's what they call it traffic back then. But I had one taught me transportation and one taught me distribution. So I was extremely lucky because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I did not go to college for this, and everything I've learned is just been OJT and asking a lot of questions and listening a lot to people who were experts who had been in for the long run before I ever got into it. So I would listen to them and I'd ask them questions and picked up on stuff. So still learning today. I mean, even those young sales reps over in Knoxville, I mean, they know more about transportation at their age than I ever did when I was their age. So I listen to them too, because they got fresh perspectives and different ways of looking at things that may be an improvement upon what's already out there.
Yeah, I think you can learn from anybody, whether it's the right way to do something or the wrong way to do something. You can always be learning from somebody. And I'm a truly curious person, which is one of the reasons why I do this. A lot of people are like, why you keep doing this thing? It's like, because I'm curious. I like meeting people. And one way to really grab somebody's like full attention is through a podcast or a show, because you kind of lock them in, you get them for 20, 30 minutes, an hour, or whatever it might be. And you really get to kind of know some people, and you can build relationships, and you can have episodes that go past an origin story of a relationship, and then you can dive deeper in other subjects. We can figure out what people like and what people don't like. So I think it's really cool to be able to mentor people and to also be a mentee, I guess, trying to go out and try to find mentors to learn other things in different part of your life. And I think it's really cool that you're doing that for people, especially brokers in Knoxville, to get opportunity to call you and role play with a real customer for a real company and get real advice. That's really cool, because we do role play in here, but it's more like with me or the guys role playing with each other. To role play with an actual customer, that's really cool. What was some of the advice you gave some of those guys? What were you hearing? What was the most common, I guess, objection?
It was probably the thing I get asked a lot is, what are your problem lanes? And to me, that shows kind of a lack of doing your homework. You want me to answer your question so you don't have to go look it up or you don't have to think about it. And that you hear it so often, it just gets it's stale. It's just bland. So yeah. I told him, I said, why don't you treat it like this? Why don't you ask them what are the things that keep them up at night? Because any traffic manager, logistics manager worth their salt has things that keeps them up at night. There's things they're worried about. There's things they're concerned about. And if you can present the fact that you care about what they're going through, and it's not just me, then that opens up some channels and opens up some conversations and probably puts the situation a little bit more at ease.
Yeah. So instead of just the generic, hey, what's the worst lane you got? Let me give you a cheap rate on that. I'll take a loser on this. Let me get in the door with you, get on board, get a load from you, take care of that, and then we can build a relationship from there. You're just saying, hey man, listen, I don't know what's going on, but tell me what's going on. Like, what keeps you up at night? How's everything going? Let me learn a little bit about what your struggles, and then present a solution based off of that. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know as well as I do, this is probably one of the biggest relational industries out there. Okay. I mean, we literally have to depend on each other to get the job done.
Sure.
So you have to build those relationships. I mean, you've heard the old saying, people buy from people they know and people they trust. And, I tell people all the time, I was like, look, from my perspective, it's this. So CKE hired me because of my expertise and my skills and my experience, right? So obviously, any good manager is going to want an ROI from their employee, whether it's to do a specific task, whether it's to drive positive impact to the bottom line, whatever it is. But they hire you for that, and they invest that. They're investing money in you to do that. And if I bring in a fly-by-night carrier or a carrier I don't know, just met off the street and they screw up, that's not going to look good. They're going to start to doubt me. And I don't want people to doubt me. I mean, if you're hiring me as your subject matter expert, I want to be your subject matter expert. And I want you to listen to me because I've got the company's best interest at heart. And I'm doing what falls under my responsibility to make sure the company is successful.
It's very cool. And that's what your job is. I mean, you're pretty much not a gatekeeper in a gatekeeper sense of sales, but you're the gatekeeper for the company. You're the one that they're hiring to put a directive and to put the best carriers on the right lanes or whatever it might be, or whoever you need to get in there to get the job done, right? That's your job. They don't really care how it gets done as long as the job gets done based off your leadership. Right. And here's a question, because I haven't done much in the restaurant game, but when you speak logistics, you also speak distribution, and you said you learned your trucking from one and you learned distribution from another. What do you mean by distribution? Like, how do you separate the two?
Well, the logistics piece is easy. That's more to me. When I say logistics, I mean transportation. I mean moving the loads from point A to point B.
Okay.
The distribution is more order fulfillment at the DC and making sure we have enough inventory, making sure those loads go out when they're supposed to, make sure the routes are done, make sure we're not delivering product during lunchtime, because that's just something you don't do at a restaurant. Certain things like that, if we have, we've had drivers put the ice cream in the cooler. You can't do that. That doesn't work. You don't do that at home. Don't do it in our stores. So that's the distribution piece of it. It's more, I call it probably more operations, because, they're the ones loading the trucks out, and they're the ones, that make sure the orders are in, the sequence is in. It can even spill over even into the interfaces between the back of house ordering system and the DC ordering system. If they're not talking to each other and your restaurant orders some burger patties and it doesn't get communicated to the picking staff and they don't get their burgers, then we're kind of in a mess. So it's
for sure.
It kind of spills into different areas, but it's usually the way I look at it is anything that is impacting our restaurants from a distribution or logistics standpoint, regardless of who's touching it, I need to be involved because I need to make sure they get those burgers. So anything that inhibits that, I need to make sure I'm on top of it and getting it resolved.
And let's be honest. I mean, I'd say I can speak to Hardees. I haven't been to many Carl's Jr.'s, but probably the best fast food burger you can get out there. If I just had to say, like, you want a fast food burger, probably the most legit fast food burger on the market.
Yeah, there's something to be said about Angus.
Yeah, actual meat, like real meat, real burger, actually really good. So let's get off work for a second. Let's get off that. What does John Brewer do on the weekends or at nighttime when he needs to kind of just relax, hang out with the family? What are you doing? What do we catch you doing?
I usually just I chill, man. I've got a room above the garage, and I go up and just watch movies and just chill out with my dogs. Just relax. I mean, when you're in the middle of when you're in logistics, and it's, some days are firefights, some days not so much. But I mean, it's fast paced. It's really, it's a lot of things flying around, and I just want to go somewhere and just chill and just relax and decompress for a little bit, because I got to get ready for round 2 the next day.
Yeah.
So, and between that and kind of working around the house, I'm boring outside the office, I guess.
Hey, that's not boring. That's hey, whatever makes you happy is not boring, right? Like some people like to do the whole traveling thing and stay busy on the weekends and always going. And man, if it was up to me, I told my fiance all the time, like, "What do you want to do this weekend?" I'm like, "Nothing. Absolutely. Like
Right.
my favorite thing to do is nothing, which
Nothing.
oftentimes is still a bunch of stuff, but nothing. I want to set no alarm. I don't want to have to be anywhere. I just want to be able to do what I want to do for at least one day a week. That's all I care about. I'll do everything else the rest of the week. One day a week, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, I want to have nothing to do."
Exactly.
So
The other piece of it, I'm actually on the board of directors for the Nashville Transportation Club, and we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization that gives scholarships to supply chain students. So we do a lot of fundraising throughout the year, and then we partner with a college here. Last year we partnered with Lipscomb University, and we were able to that was our first year, our inaugural year, and we gave out three pretty good sized scholarships. This year we're slated to give out even more. So I like working with that organization. It's, I like giving back to an industry that is taking care of me and my family. That's important to me. It's also important to me to your point earlier, to reseed future generations in this industry, so that when I'm sitting on my Caribbean island drinking a cerveza, there's somebody else moving burgers and pickles and French fries around. So that's how I pay it back.
So which club is that?
That's the Nashville Transportation Club.
Okay.
NTC.
Yeah. Okay. Really cool. Now, so Chattanooga had one for a long time, I believe, and up until 2019, 2020. And I'm probably breaking news right now that I'm not supposed to break, but I'm part of it, so whatever. Well, they get it from me. I'm the media guy in this regard. So we're bringing back the Chattanooga Transportation Club this year. So I'm going to be involved in that, and I think we're going to kick that off. I think probably going to let everybody know maybe this week or next week. I can't remember. But anyway, so we're bringing that back. So I'd love to get with you guys and kind of partner up and do some things. And we're doing the same thing. We're doing it for scholarships for kids in Chattanooga that their parents or family members have something to do with supply chain or logistics or whatever. I think we're going to change the name of it from like the Transportation Club to we're going to go to the Chattanooga Logistics and Supply Chain Association. Try to get more shippers involved and some stuff like that. But yeah, I think we're bringing it back too. So we'll have to get involved in each other's stuff, no doubt. 100%.
Absolutely. That's incredible. That's truly amazing, man. So good for you guys to be doing that. I think it's really important for the industry to have these groups that work with people. Our next event, we're doing Top Golf next month.
Okay.
So we'll have a get together, and we always have a good time. And you've probably seen some of the happy hour photos that get posted. Some guy wearing some shirt with some snarky comment on the back. I don't know who that guy was.
I don't know who that one was. It definitely wasn't you, right? Definitely
it wasn't me. And if you happen to see him, tell him he owes me a beer.
There was one of my buddies. He was on the film staff for UTC when I was playing at Chattanooga. His name was Alex Snitzner, and I believe he's in the Transportation Club.
He is in the Transportation. He's VP this year. I know Alex very well. He's a good guy.
Yeah, Alex, he's a good guy. He did a great job for us at UTC when he was there, and I'm glad that he got into logistics because he's a really good guy. Does good thing, good people person. So that's a good thing when you're in sales and logistics.
Yeah, he's got a real big heart, and that speaks volumes.
Oh yeah, Alex, cool dude. Well, cool, man. You got anything else? Anything in the pipelines? Anything coming up?
I think that's about it. I'm pretty much what you see is what you get.
Well, hey, what we get's a good guy right here, especially on LinkedIn. You're always coming out there, motivational messages, being nice to everybody, commenting on people's stuff, and that's good to see, especially coming from a guy with your title at such a prestigious company and delivering burgers in the way that we need to. I got to get up to the Transportation Club though in Nashville. I need to come check
Yeah,
that
yeah,
out.
yeah. Well, come on out to one of our happy hours. We started like the year before COVID hit, and we had a pretty aggressive schedule, and then COVID came around and kind of knocked the wind out of our sails.
Yeah.
So we kind of rode that for a couple of years, and then this year we started. Well, last year we did some happy hours, and then we did a golf outing in June. This year we did the golf outing. Tremendous success. We sold out,
Wow.
and that, like I said, everything above cost goes to scholarships.
Sure.
And then we added the top golf. So I think next year, pending no natural disaster or gloom and doom disease, we're going to be pretty aggressive, and we're going to have some nice events out there for people to come out and spend some time with us. Our happy hours are growing. It's a really great networking opportunity. The younger generations like it. When I was doing the traffic club in Memphis, I did that for about 15 years.
Right.
We did speaker luncheons. So the speaker would come in and talk about FedEx or talk about the railroads, and then we just eat a lunch. And that's changed a little bit, and that's fine. And so I enjoy the networking events myself. I mean, because, being a shipper and, I'm outnumbered from a carrier broker standpoint at these events, but
Oh yeah.
we promote it as a non-salesy type event.
Okay.
We're just building relationships. If somebody gets some business afterwards because you built a relationship, then so be it. Just getting out and meeting different folks and getting to talk to people and it's really starting. We're really starting to get a following on that, and it's a really easy thing to do. The club pays for the apps, and you buy your own drinks, and we go out for a couple hours and just talk to people and get to know folks.
Really cool. Yeah. So we're planning on doing something very similar. I think we're going to do like either a weekly or a monthly networking event. We're going to do try to get at least a speaker at least every other couple of months or so, and then a couple golf tournaments a year, and then a Christmas party is kind of what our plan is. And then all that money goes towards a scholarship to kids, people on supply chain. So yeah, man, really cool. I'm always about giving back to the community, especially Chattanooga, because when I came out of school, I got plenty of other scholarships outside of my football scholarship and outside of my academic scholarship. So I was actually paid kind of to go to college, and that helps. It helps a lot of kids when you can get there and you have a little bit extra money in the pocket. It takes a lot of stress off parents, a lot of stress off the kids, and helps you, get that next phase of life going.
We'll be having a job fair in Q1. So we're going to be opening that up. There's a lot of industry here in Nashville. There's a lot, even in the Franklin area. We've got Nissan here. We got Mars pet food. So just a bunch of different things going on, but going to do a big job fair. And then something else you might want to know. We are very close to setting up a swag shop on our website. So you can buy T-shirts. We got limited inventory right now, but once this thing takes off, we think it's going to be huge. We're going to introduce new items every month or every other month.
Yeah.
Right now, all the funds go to supporting a disabled veteran small-owned business in Texas.
Okay.
He actually did our hats for our golf outing last year.
Okay.
Great guy. His name is Eric Serta, Liberty Custom Printing. You'll see him on LinkedIn as well. That's actually how I met him. Great guy, big heart. And we've tried to partner with him and help him. And he's extremely excited about this, and so am I. I hope this thing takes off like a rocket, and we're able to put people in gear, and they show up at the events wearing their gear, and it'll be great.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I was like, we got to have swag. I was like, I don't care what the membership costs or whatever, but let's tier it up to where if you want to get a shirt and a hat or whatever, it's got to have some swag to it, because that's what these young kids like. They want to have some trendy type stuff. And it's so easy to make it now between all the different vendors you can get and stuff. So yeah, great idea. Hey, man, I love it. Great idea. Look, I know you're busy. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. I got to ask you one question though. I ask everybody that comes on, I got to get your feedback. If you had to give somebody advice in logistics, supply chain, any side of the aisle, what type of advice would you give them getting into this industry?
I would go more around the character side of it. Be transparent, have integrity, let your word be your bond. That stuff really resonates with people. You can't go wrong doing that. I find that if I treat people, it's the golden rule. If I treat people the way I want to be treated, I usually don't get a lot of flack for that.
Right.
They usually don't complain, so it's good. But yeah, separate yourself from the pack. I mean, everything's, people have gotten really complacent, and like we were talking about the sales pitch on the problem lanes, try different approaches, set yourself apart, because I mean, basically we're all doing the same thing. We're just moving stuff from point A to point B.
Sure.
The little nuances is what defines you. Earn that trust, do your homework. You'll see one of my hashtags is DYH, do your homework. You can get on social media right now. You can find out all kinds of stuff about me. You probably can even find out what my favorite pie is. So do your homework. It's you're interviewing for the job of hauling a customer's freight.
Yep.
Just like you're interviewing for any job. You can go out and you research the company, you research who's interviewing you. And social media makes it so much easier than it was 20, 25 years ago.
Sure.
You can find out all kinds of stuff. And if you can sit there and try to put yourself in their shoes, if you can, kind of figure out what maybe their pain points really are without them telling you, that speaks volumes.
No,
that just speaks volumes. People come to me, and if they've done their homework, that tells me, hey, I think it's important enough to research your company and you. I think I want to be a part of this. It speaks volumes because you're doing the work. You're investing the time and the energy.
At the end of the day, the things that need to be done need to get doing. That's the thing. You said something about being nice. One of my favorite quotes, The Rock always quotes this. I'm a huge Rock fan. You probably can't tell, but huge Rock fan. But he says it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And it's very easy to be nice. So we'll leave it on that. John, thank you so much, sir, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Let's get you on later down the road and talk about some other stuff as well. But I really appreciate you coming on, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Gunner. Have a good day.
You too, bud.